Hello for what is a huge night of action for Scotland. The senior team have a crucial World Cup qualifier later against Greece, but before that an Under-21 Euro 2027 qualifier to whet the appetite at the Europa Point Stadium in Gibraltar. And it's a big game in itself. This, the 5th of 10 games Scott Gemmell's side will face in the group, and it's up against a Gibraltar side that Scotland put 12 goals past at home last month. Let's hope for some more goals and more points tonight. It was a pretty lively 3-3 draw last time out against Azerbaijan, which has forced the manager's hand a bit. Jeremiah Mullen and Dire Mabudi both sent off in that game, so both suspended for this one, but they are in the squad to take part in Tuesday's match against Bulgaria. 2 defeats in the 2 games before that though, tough matches they were against Portugal and Czechia. Let's take a look at the Scotland team selected by Scott Gemmell for this one this evening. 5 changes he's made from that Azerbaijan draw. Matthew Anderson, Jeremiah Mullen, Luke Graham, Christy Montgomery and Dire Mabudi dropping out. Connor Allen, Sam Cleo-Harding, Ben McPherson, Andrew Todd and Ryan Oney come into the starting lineup. Plenty of good options on the bench as well for Scott Gemmell. And then to the Gibraltar team, the man to look out for, or I should really say the boy to look out for, Lucas Scanlon, 16 years old, playing well above his age group, and the Gibraltar FA have real high hopes for him. He'll be hoping that he can make some sort of impact, but with the way Gibraltar have been going, you'd expect Harry Victor, the goalkeeper, to be a busy man tonight. 23 goals conceded in their last 2 qualifiers. I'm Andrew McLean. Joining me tonight is an honorary Scot, I'll say, someone that knows Scottish football very well, Marvin Bartley.
Yeah, I've got my kilt on as well today, Andrew, so I'm sure I'll be accepted in terms of doing the commentary with you. But no, listen, really looking forward to this game. Like you said, there should be an awful lot of goals. Really interested seeing Andy Todd play today, someone I've watched a couple of times for Dunfermline, and Neil Lennon and the club have got really high hopes for. I know he's called into the squad late, but no, it should be a really, really good night for him and the rest of the players today.
When you look at Andy Todd in that lineup alongside the likes of Ryan Oney, Emilio Lawrence, James Wilson, an attacking lineup, it's exactly what you'd expect Scott Gemmell to go for in a game like this.
Yeah, 100%, and they'll just be saying it to the players in there, it's about being professional and putting on a performance. You know, today's not really about an ability thing because Scotland will be better than Gibraltar all over. If they don't do things correctly, it can be a lot more difficult night than it needs to be. So, yeah, with these players getting their opportunity as well, they all want to score goals. They know what happened last time Scotland played against Gibraltar, and they all want to get involved on the score sheet. But one thing they must do is make the right option, because you can get in these games, Andrew, and sometimes you just want to shoot rather than pass when passing's the best option. So, yeah, it's like a professional performance, and as I said, you know, I'm really looking forward to seeing these young players play today.
All going to plan. Rory Adams in the Scotland goal shouldn't be too busy, neither should the defenders in a defensive aspect, but one thing that will be important for them tonight is how good they are on the ball.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, you know, the tempo will start with them, you know, if it's from a goal kick or a build-up play, a lot will come from them, and they have to get involved as well in the attacking play, whether it's overlaps and underlaps, because you expect Scotland to have a lot of the ball, Gibraltar to sit in a really, really low block, so the defensive players have to get involved as well, and then equally be switched on, because they don't want to get caught on a counter-attack. Gibraltar go 1-0 up and then they've got something to hang on to. So yeah, professionally, they're going to have to do things right. Performance is going to be important from those boys as well, but attackingly, they're going to have to get involved.
Well, the teams are out on the pitch. Scotland led by Kilmarnock midfielder David Watson, who wears the armband once again. Scotland sitting 4th in this qualification group behind Portugal, Czechia and Bulgaria. And then Azerbaijan in 5th place, Gibraltar at the foot of the table, yet to pick up a point so far. Just 1 goal scored in their 4 matches, 28 conceded. Scotland will be hoping that figure is a good bit higher after this evening. Before we get to the action, we'll start with the national anthems. A proud moment for those Scottish youngsters. And following the national anthem of Scotland, it will be the national anthem of Gibraltar. Scott Gemmell's side picking up 4 points in their last 2 qualifiers, and they'll hope that if they manage to get 3 points on the board tonight, that'll set them up well going into the second round of fixtures.
Yeah, exactly that. Like you said, today it's important to win this game of football. They have to win it, you know, if they're going to try and qualify. So, yeah, the players will know that. And listen, it's a good pressure when you're sitting there, or they're out there now just getting ready to play this game. When you know you're better than your position, Andrew, as a footballer, there's nothing better. You know, if we perform at our best and they perform at their best, we'll still beat them and beat them comfortably. So, you know, it's really in the players' hands to go out and put on a performance today. And also, you know, the 2 boys are coming back from suspension on Tuesday, make it hard for them to get back into the team.
Our officials in the middle of the picture there are from San Marino. Michele Beltrano is the man in the middle. Just has a quick word with David Watson as the Gibraltar team break out from their team photo. And it will be Kyle Clinton, their captain, who comes over and exchanges pennants. Kyle Clinton, the man that scored the only goal for Gibraltar in their qualifying campaign so far. That came from the penalty spot against Czechia. One of the closer games they've had. They seem to start their campaign a bit better. It was a 3-0 defeat to Bulgaria, only a 2-1 defeat to Czechia, but they have shipped, as I said, 23 goals in their last 2 games. So that should, Marvin, give Scotland confidence that they can go out and get plenty tonight. Yeah, exactly. Like I said, you know, it's not that long ago Scotland were putting a lot of goals past them. So it's not only other teams that Gibraltar have been conceding against, and Scotland thinking, how can we break them down and how can we score against them? You know, the players have done it themselves. So like I said, we're trying to start this game really, really fast, not let Gibraltar settle, and, you know, can they get a couple of goals early doors, and then it makes it a lot easier for them this evening. Well, the referee, Michele Beltrano, just making sure everything is in order before we can get underway with Luca Scanlon, the 16-year-old standing over the ball at the Europa Point Stadium. Rainy conditions as well, but shouldn't put the Scotland players off. More than used to that. Yeah, exactly. One thing you're used to in Scotland is wind and rain, so the players will be absolutely fine with it. We're interested to see how James Wilson goes today. You know, someone who burst on the scene for Hearts last season, and, you know, he's found his time really, really limited this season. You know, these opportunities are massive for him. I saw him do an interview where he said, you know, every time I play a game, I'm trying to impress, whether it's a reserve team game, whether it's a under-21 game. So he's a player of a lot of potential, a young man that hopefully can get a couple of goals today. Connor Allen. His defensive partner is Sam Cleo Harding. Colby Donovan. Over to Connor Allen. Emilio Lawrence comes back. Emilio Lawrence, I'm not sure the Gibraltar players will be happy to see him again. 4 goals he got in that game at home. Yeah, he's not a player you're going to want to face, is he? You know, knowing what he's done to you before. But listen, it'll be a challenge as well for Gibraltar. You know, can they keep him quiet today? I think it's something easier said than done, though, Andrew. David Watson wearing the captain's armband again for Scotland, as James Wilson just tried to bounce that pass towards Ryan Oney. Didn't quite come off, but the ball quickly back in Scotland's possession with Watson. Here is Kyle Ewer over to Allen. McPherson tries to find Emilio Lawrence just by the foot of the Manchester City winger.
The surface, I know we're only, a minute and a bit into the game. It looks very, very lively, the AstroTurf surface. And if anyone knows about AstroTurfs, it's me. Having spent the last few years of my career at Livingston. Yeah, so that's something that some of these players going to have to get used to as a Gibraltar player sips there.
Sam Cleal-Harding, the Dundee United central defender. Goes back to Rory Adams, who will be hoping it's not going to be too busy a night in the Scotland goal. And once again, it's just an overhit pass on that left side.
Yeah, it's just a concentration thing. As I said, sometimes when you're there as a player and if we turn up, we should win this game. Sometimes, like you said, a couple of passes go astray and maybe they need a little bit of warning to wake them up. But yeah, listen, it's one of those things that come naturally. And these young players, not only physically are they developing mentally as well. So something they have to get used to in their careers.
Cleal-Harding. Forward to Ryan Oney. Scotland trying to show some purpose now. Andy Todd trying to turn his man, but it will go out for a Gibraltar goal kick. A good story though, Andy Todd, because didn't expect to be in this squad whatsoever, wasn't in the original squad, and then some late call-offs, got the phone call from his club manager, Neil Lennon, when he was stepping out of the shower. Found out that he is in the under-21 squad, and then told by Scott Gemmell that he's going straight into the starting lineup.
Like I said, absolutely brilliant. I think there was a bit of an uproar when he wasn't actually involved in the initial squad. But he probably saw Neil Lennon calling his phone and thought, what have I done here? I've been there as one of Neil Lennon's players. But no, listen, it's fantastic news for the boy. He's worked really, really hard to get into this Dunfermline first team, first and foremost, and now finds himself in Scotland Under-21. So again, another player that I hope has a really, really good evening here and shows the qualities that he's shown at Dunfermline. If he takes that into this game, then I think people will be really, really impressed with him if they've not seen him yet.
Yeah, showing real goal-scoring prowess. 8 goals in 13 championship matches this season, 11 and 16 in all competitions. But it's Emilio Lawrence who's on the ball now. Gets to the byline, but that will be easily gathered by Harry Victor.
Better for Scotland though. The first couple of passes to him have gone astray. They get it to his feet that time, and straight away he's being nice and positive with it. Yes, the end ball wasn't the best, but he's being nice and direct with his running and get Scotland up the pitch.
Well, that home match against Gibraltar really was the breakout game for Emilio Lawrence. Has been in a few squads and ended up scoring 4 goals in that game. A lot of promise for him. He's in Manchester City's academy, previously of Everton as well. He's also represented England at youth level, but very much committed to Scotland. Cleal-Harding got a goal last time out against Azerbaijan. Ure forward to Lawrence. Well, patience may be key for Scotland in this game as well, because we know that Gibraltar will sit in. They'll try and frustrate Scotland. As Ryan Oney goes back to Sam Cleal-Harding. But moving the ball quickly will be one of the keys, Marvin.
Yeah, it will, definitely. And also not overcrowding those forward areas. Sometimes, people watch games and think just get more players forward, but all it does is congest, where you want your players to be in one-on-one situations. So, yes, Scotland needs to move it from right to left and left to right very, very quickly. But also at times you're going to have to play, backwards passes to try and drag Gibraltar out of their shape.
There's a bit of a nasty head knock as Scotland try to take that free kick quickly through Kyle Ure, but the referee, Michele Beltrano, right in making sure that it's no serious injury.
Yeah, I think both players were going for the ball there. I think the Gibraltar player was just a little bit late. Hopefully he's all right. Obviously the physio and the doctor look like they're on the pitch now. But hopefully it's just a contact injury rather than anything more serious than that.
It will be a decent position for Scotland to whip this free kick into the box, try and cause a problem from a set piece.
Yeah, these are opportunities you've got to try and take, because when a team does sit in a low block, it's difficult to break them down at times. So when you get these opportunities from set plays, whether it's free kicks or corners, from this sort of area, you really want to put a dangerous ball in, and then the players that are in the centre, make sure they go and attack it.
Yeah, Hans Stevens was the Gibraltar midfielder going in late.
Yeah, it looks like he's probably more winded. He's holding his head there, but I think he's probably more winded looking back at that. So he should come back onto the pitch.
Well, it could be the right foot of David Watson or the left of Kyle Ure to deliver. Kyle Ure does leave it for David Watson. Good shape on the delivery, but it's headed out for a Scotland corner.
You can just see with the wind there, as Watson goes to hit that free kick in, the ball ends up blown away from him, and then he tries to whip it in. So yeah, it's extremely windy out there.
David Watson now heading over to take the corner. Huge experience. He's got the 20-year-old, over 100 appearances for Kilmarnock. He was PFA Young Player of the Year in Scotland in the 2023-24 season. Right-footed delivery from him, and it looked as if Scotland had the opening goal, but the whistle is gone for a foul, and Scotland will have to wait for that opener.
Yeah, the referee blew quite early with that one. It's obviously some two players coming together. I think there's a bit of a block. Yeah, I mean, it's not much, but he's made a decision nice and early, the referee. But speaking of Watson, like you said, that breakthrough season from 23-24 was an absolutely fantastic one. You know, showed a lot of energy from that midfield role, and he's shown it again this season. Last season he probably stagnated a little bit, didn't get as many minutes as he wanted, the young man. But like I said, you know, to make those amount of appearances at his age is absolutely brilliant. And you know, a player that I think will go from strength to strength. I think his Kilmarnock contract is also up in the summer, so I think there'll be a lot of suitors for him. A real quality player.
Did get his first goal at under-21 level in the last outing against Azerbaijan. Is there something Gibraltar can do here as Hans Stevens tries to play the ball back to Javan Peacock, but goes through his legs or under his foot and out for a Scotland throw. Cleel Harding signed a new deal at Dundee United earlier on this year through to 2027. Lawrence. Here's Emilio Lawrence again. He does enjoy running at players, and it's a lovely pass to Ben McPherson. The cross comes in, not dealt with initially by Gibraltar, but able to hack it away at the second attempt. David Watson just unable to get the ball under control. Scotland will have the chance to throw this in and try and create something down the right. Colby Donovan to take, who, speaking of breakout seasons, his has been this year at Celtic.
Yeah, Donovan's done extremely well for Celtic this season. Like you said, a player who probably thought he was third or fourth choice right back, you know, when the season started. And all of a sudden he's getting thrown into European games, and he's taken it in his stride. He really, really has. Someone, obviously, you know, coaching in Scotland, you hear a lot about the young players coming through, but, you know, I think in terms of the way his season's gone to date, absolutely brilliant for the young man. Getting those amount of minutes at a big club like Celtic as well will only help improve him, and now, you know, playing under-21 football as well.
Yeah, he made his debut against Livingston, actually, and then played a few days later against Kairat Almaty. 8 appearances he's got in total now. Hasn't featured since Brendan Rodgers left, though, in those 4 matches. His last appearance was in that 3-1 defeat to Hearts. He'll be hoping to play his way back into things, especially with Alistair Johnson's time out looking to be maybe a longer term than Celtic had hoped.
Yeah, and that happens with young players as well. They can't get too disappointed when they do come out of the team. You know, there's going to be ups and downs in terms of the minutes that you play and in terms of your performances. But like I said, just to break into that team at such a young age shows the ability that he does have, and I'm certain he'll have a long, you know, really good career, whether it's at Celtic or another top club. So, yeah, he doesn't have to worry too much about that at the moment.
Hans Stevens fouled, and Gibraltar will have a free kick just inside the Scotland half.
Last couple of minutes have been a little bit scrappy, and this will suit Gibraltar. You know, being that kind of underdog team, there's no real phases of play from Scotland. It's a foul, it's stop-start, and this is exactly what Gibraltar will want. You know, they'll be dividing this first half into 15 minutes segments, and they'll be trying to get through that first 15 minutes without trying to concede.
Scotland will get the free kick off the back of that Gibraltar free kick. Something that is important in these games as well. When it is one that you're expected to win and expected to score goals in, if those goals don't come, it's important that the players don't get frustrated and just keep on doing what they're instructed to do.
Yeah, exactly that. You know, sticking to the game plan. The last thing you want to do is players to start playing off the cuff, because then it makes it more difficult for all their teammates. Definitely within the final third, when you get there, you need a little bit of magic from the attacking players. But in terms of the build-up and what they've worked on with Scott Gemmell and the rest of the coaching staff, you have to stick to it, and you have to believe that it will break it down. If the coaching staff think that they can change it to give Scotland a better chance, then they'll do that. But the players must stick to what they're being told.
Will be a throw-in to Gibraltar on the far side.
One thing I've noticed already, that the fullbacks are trying to go high, and whether it's a holding midfielder that goes into that false fullback position or one of the wingers that does it, I'd rather the fullbacks probably stay where they are and feed the wingers higher up the pitch. We've seen Lawrence down one side, cause real bother when they do get the ball to him, but it just seems he's getting too many touches for me in that mid-third and defensive third.
The ball bouncing dangerously in that Gibraltar box. It will be a strike from David Watson, but it goes well over the Gibraltar goal.
Yeah, and as expected, the goalkeeper's not in any great rush, is he, to get another ball? I think he's going to go and look for that one that's gone over the stand.
3 goals for his club this season, David Watson. Not too far off equaling what he's done in the past 2 seasons, which is 5 goals in each of those. As you say, maybe didn't have the season that he would have wanted to last year, but in the early stages of this campaign, impressing under Stuart Kettlewell.
Yeah, and I was told, even when he wasn't playing last season, when he was training, he would train at 100%. Really, really good professional for a man who's so young. Didn't show any real disappointment, and when he was given his opportunities last season, he did his best to take them. And there's a reason that he's now playing week in, week out and doing extremely well.
Well, Kobe Donovan giving the ball away, and a real ambitious try from James Kitano. Didn't really have anything in the way of options. Would have either have been a spectacular dribble up the pitch or just go for goal from 45 yards.
Yeah, I think he thought to himself, I'm not going to run forward with the ball because it means I have to run back then to get back behind it, so I'm going to have a shot, which was it didn't really get off the floor, did it? But again, that Donovan pass, that's just a concentration thing.
Gonzalez to Basalam. It's a nice passage of play initially by Gibraltar, but ran out of passes in the end.
Yeah, it's probably the first time we've seen them, string together, 7, 8, 9 passes. It didn't really get anywhere, but like you said, it's better from their point of view in terms of moving the ball.
David Watson, who will pop up everywhere on this pitch. He's all action as he receives the ball in this right back area. Calling for options, actually does well to squirm away from a couple of challenges, but is eventually crowded out. Stevens challenged by Kobe Donovan. Not a fair challenge, according to the referee, Michele Beltrano.
That's what I mean there. That's a prime example, Andrew. You've got one of your holding midfielders going to that false fullback position, but when Watson picks up the ball, there's 11 Gibraltar players behind it. So you're not breaking any lines in terms of your passes, and then like you say, you're running into traffic. So they might be better off just sticking to a structure in terms of the fullback staying where they are and trying to get Watson the ball the other side of the Gibraltar, and definitely attacker, or even a couple of their midfielders as well, and then he can play those penetrative passes forward.
Gibraltar just able to gain themselves a few yards from that free kick. Now a throw in to be taken by Julian Brito. Flicked on by the head of Jesse Gomez. Andy Todd, a good flick on of his own. James Wilson unable to hold on to it. It's all a bit scrappy in there, and it's Kyle Ewer's challenge that the referee doesn't like on James Kitano.
Wilson has to do better there. When that ball comes into him, I know he's had a few touches, But when that ball comes into him, it's really got to stick, and then he's got to lay it off, because that's the best time to catch Gibraltar. When they've got a little bit of attacking phase, you turn it over and can you transition quickly, but it's touched a little bit loose, and then Scotland ended up giving a foul away. Again, from a Gibraltar perspective, they'll be looking to put this ball into a dangerous area now. Scotland have to stay switched on defensively.
A couple of players standing over it. Karim Boussalam and Lucas Scanlon. Lucas Scanlon, the one I mentioned earlier on, just 16 years old. Was part of Manchester United's youth academy, now playing for Burnley. But he makes the run down the left. It's Boussalam to float the ball in. Scotland get the first contact, and Ryan Oney will now get the chance to play this one up the park. Actually does well to shift it onto his right. Scotland will have been hoping to try and catch Gibraltar out when they would have had a few more bodies forward than they normally would. It's David Watson with the ball over, could cause some real issues, and it is dealt with by Javan Peacock, but goalkeeper Harry Victor was scrambling slightly.
Yeah, you're right. You know, Gibraltar have the free kick, and Scotland managed to turn it over, and then you're playing a forward pass there. I think the pass really holds up in the wind, which causes a problem for the goalkeeper. But again, it might be one of those games where you put a couple of balls in behind and, you know, get the Scotland attacking players into a foot race.
You can see from the corner flag next to David Watson just how much the wind could be affecting things.
You can tell by the ball moving there as well just how windy it is.
We'll see if Watson can get this one in at the second attempt. Scotland have that box loaded. A lot of power on the delivery, but will go all the way through to Emilio Lawrence. Stands up against Lucas Scanlon. One way then the other, but Scanlon does well. But the pass then intercepted by Kyle Ewart. Todd back to Ewart. And Todd again. His first real chance to show what he's got on the ball. And the pass through is a nice one, and Scotland have the opener, and it's James Wilson on the score sheet once again against Gibraltar. He got a hat-trick in the home match, and he's got one less than 20 minutes into this game.
Absolutely brilliant from Scotland there. You know, the run from Wilson is fantastic. Have the ball down the outside with Todd, you know, plays the ball backwards, and what a through ball that is, by the way. Wilson playing on the back of the defender, keeps himself on side, and a fantastic finish from the young man. Like I said, you're wondering when it was going to come for Scotland. We expected a fast start that really didn't happen, but, you know, when you've got that young man in front of goal, there's only one thing that's going to happen. The ball's end up in the back of the net.
Well, he does have a senior cap to his name, James Wilson, but back in the under-21s, 4 goals in 4 games at this level now. And I'll be hoping that that's the first of multiple tonight, if things go Scotland's way.
Yeah, and that should settle Scotland down now. Like I said, that first goal is so important. You know, you get to the 19-minute mark, 20-minute mark, and they probably think to themselves, what's going on here? We should be 1 or 2 goals ahead at least. But now it's came in terms of Wilson getting that one. Hopefully, should settle the players down. And again, they should go after Gibraltar and attempt to get more goals in this first half.
Probably will feel like a big goal for James Wilson as well, just considering the way that things are going at club level. Obviously, as you mentioned earlier on, broke through so early, but hasn't played since August, which is understandable, just given how good Hearts have been this season. So tough to break into that starting lineup with the quality they've got, and Lawrence Shankland, Claudio Braga, Pierre-Landry Cabore showing in recent weeks what he can do as well. But James Wilson getting time on the pitch tonight, already got his goal.
Yeah, and that's all you can do as a player. You know, like I spoke about earlier, he said every game he plays is an opportunity to show the Hearts management team that he wants to be starting, whether it's a reserve game or tonight in the under-21s. And all he can go out there and do is do a good performance, put a good performance on. He gets himself a goal so far, and he'll be hoping for a lot more of those. So yeah, listen, the young man's got the right attitude to go out there and make a real good career in the game. He understands at his age he's not going to start week in, week out. And you look at people like Watson, we're speaking about him at Kilmarnock, you know, last season not playing as much as he wanted to. These players all sit and speak to each other. So sometimes it doesn't have to come from a coach or a parent or anyone like that. They can speak to each other. So again, it's a great experience for them to be away on these trips to discuss those sorts of things.
Well, that goal may settle any nerves that were in the Scotland team, if there were any. And now the hunt is on for goal number 2. But Scotland will go all the way back to Rory Adams, who is playing his football at East Fife. on loan from Dundee United, the goalkeeper, who is firmly the #1 under Scott Gemmell. Cleo Harding. Ryan Oney. Can play as a central striker, Ryan Oney, but out on the right flank today.
Again, Oney, runs that one out of play, but the wingers now, him and Lawrence, are getting the ball a lot higher, which means that they're in no 1v1 situations. They're in that final third, which is where you want these players to come alive and be creative. So, yes, the end product again, he runs it off the pitch, isn't great, but in terms of the position he's now picking the ball up, it'll be a lot more effective for Scotland doing that.
He'll be one you'd think would be keen to try and get in amongst the goals tonight, because it comes with good pedigree, the fact that he is playing games for Sheffield United at a good level, but just the 1 goal in 8 under-21 caps, but it's not as if he hasn't been contributing out with that.
Yeah, exactly. All attacking players want goals and assists, don't they? Especially with football now, how crazily stat-driven it is. But yeah, listen, he'll want to contribute to Scotland winning games and qualifying for competitions at under-21 level. That's the main objective for this whole squad. But he's a player that I saw at a really young age, come through at Hamilton, and you knew he was going to go on and do something really, really good in the game. He was a level-headed young man as well, so it's no surprise he's now down at Sheffield United and doing well there.
Kyle Clinton gets things restarted, exchanges passes with Taylor Carrington. Kevin Gonzalez just gets his feet in a bit of a muddle, goes out for a Scotland throw, which will be taken quickly down the line. James Wilson trying to flick inside towards Andy Todd. Watson out to Donovan. Ben McPherson. Connor Allen, who has impressed for Falkirk this season in the top flight. The most impressive thing certainly was that winning goal against Dundee about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Messi-esque, some people were saying. No, but like you said, another young player has been given his opportunity in the top flight in Scotland and taken it so far.
The ball across is just too high, goes over the bar. Ryan Oney unable to get onto it. Will be a goal kick for Gibraltar, but there is a player down that the referee will make sure is okay. I think the Gibraltar physios are going to make their way on.
Yeah, again, Lawrence gets himself into a good position, and that final ball just lets him down. A little bit of composure and quality lacking for Scotland again in that final third, whether it's on either flank. So again, we spoke about the players getting into those positions, which they're now doing, and now they need to show that little bit of quality to pick out a teammate, or at least make Gibraltar defend. Letting them off the hook lightly there when you're just crossing it behind the goal.
Conditions certainly not easing at the Europa Point Stadium. Will make things tougher, naturally, for these players, but it's all part of it, all part of the development of these young players, how they handle these types of matches.
Yeah, I was just about to say it might be easy for Scotland when they're playing with the wind, but it looks like it's swirling around everywhere at this moment in time, doesn't it? So we saw a through ball earlier on, I think it was from Watson, really hold up, and the goalkeeper come rushing out. And then at other times it looks like it's blown in the opposite direction.
Well, this break in play will just allow the managers of both sides to get some extra instructions on 25 minutes into the game. Scotland dominating possession and play and territory, as you'd expect. Just the 1 goal to show for it, that James Wilson strike. But he did show those goal-scoring instincts that you do associate with him. Just seems so calm in front of goal, which you don't see from a lot of young players his age.
No, you don't. I've spoken about the wide players, not showing that kind of composure in the wide areas. But as I said, when that ball slid through and you see him on the end of it, you expect one thing to happen, that ball to end up in the back of the net. It was a great run, great finish, and he'll be waiting for more opportunities like that this evening.
It was Wilson with the header. Cleo Harding goes forward, and David Watson skipping by the challenge, trying to go through the legs. Scotland could be in here, though, and it is James Wilson. It takes a deflection and then tipped over the bar by Harry Victor. James Wilson so close to his second.
Again, really, really alive there, isn't he? Takes a really, really good first touch, goes round the defender, and he's just looking to strike that towards goal. Like you said, it takes a deflection. I think the keeper actually ends up tipping it over the crossbar. But again, Wilson's shown he's alive in and around the 18-yard box. Ball breaks loose. He's the first man onto it.
Well, Scotland thought about taking that one quickly, but David Watson wants to direct this one, you'd expect, towards the 6-yard box.
Yeah, be trying to put this right on top of the goalkeeper, trying to use the wind to your advantage, just float it across and let the players attack it.
Yeah, it's a dangerous looking ball in. No takers on a Scotland shirt though. Ben McPherson does well to pick out a pass. Allen goes back out to McPherson. Lawrence. You could see the idea from Emilio Lawrence, but just a Gibraltar foot redirecting the ball.
Yeah, right idea from him. Finds himself on the right wing this time after the corner kick. He's trying to be direct, he's trying to be positive with his play. And Gibraltar managed to get a foot to it. No problem with that at all.
Connor Allen came through Rangers Youth Academy before joining Falkirk. Donovan whips that ball low into the box. Could have deflected anywhere. Thankfully for Gibraltar, it didn't drop to a Scotland shirt, but here is Emilio Lawrence. Cross into the box. Not close enough to any of his teammates. This is what Scotland need to do, just need to keep on applying the pressure.
Yeah, and putting balls into the box as well. We saw Donovan do it from that right back position. We saw Lawrence out on the left hand side do it as well. And you're wearing teams down. There's nothing worse than being a defender in that position. The ball's constantly coming into your box. And yes, Gibraltar have managed to get their heads onto things and they're blocking things so far, but you'll end up wearing them down. So when they do get it into wide areas, Scotland, don't disappoint Gibraltar. Keep putting the ball in the box, keep making them defend, because sooner or later one of their players will switch off and you get yourself another opportunity.
Well, top spot in the group qualifies automatically for Euro 2027. Portugal occupying that spot at the moment with 4 wins from 4. Yet to concede a goal. Actually, Portugal, they have such a strong side. Czechia in second place, but Scotland would move just 2 points behind Czechia with a win this evening. Second place would go into a playoff. And with 5 games to go after this, there is still big opportunity for Scotland to try and grasp that second spot. You'd assume that Portugal may have that top spot wrapped up, just given the strength of squad. I was at the game against Portugal at Fir Park, and some of the names, some of the fees in that squad, quite incredible.
Yeah, a really, really good squad Portugal have together, and like you said, starting it with 4 wins out of 4 is no surprise to anybody. So yeah, you probably say that top spot is theirs to lose. But Scotland need to take care of their own business. Like you said, with 5 games after tonight, they're in control of their own destiny. So it's about winning this game and keep ticking the games off, keep winning games of football and see where you end up. But second place is definitely up for grabs for Scotland.
Connor Allen to Kyle Ewer. Quick ball forward by Sam Cleal-Harding, and it looked to be a bit more like it from Scotland, but Kobe Donovan had his pass intercepted.
Yeah, it's a great reaction from Donovan though. He tries to play that ball forward to One, which gets intercepted, but he's not just standing and admiring what just happened. He goes and he counter presses, and yes, Gibraltar get the throw on, but again, he's picking up a lot better positions now, trying to feed his winger rather than his winger feeding him. Just need to get that. I think Scotland need to move it just a little bit quicker, Andrew, from left to right, and when they do get down one side, they have that overload, give it to the winger and leave him 1v1 rather than trying to underlap or overlap and taking another defender with you.
Well, it is an early change for Gibraltar here. Jesse Gomez is the man that's having to make way. Maybe not in the plans of Gibraltar to really do something this quickly.
You were just enjoying saying his name, weren't you?
It is Lee Cipollino that comes on for him.
You'd be hoping he goes off quickly then.
Connor Allen out to Ben McPherson. Celtic youngster who is on loan at Partick Thistle this season. Of course, they're having a good campaign under Mark Wilson. He's made 13 appearances for them as they sit second in the championship.
Yeah, having a really, really good campaign there. You know, keeping Cammy Logan out of the team as well. You know, young man who came through at Hearts and started the season for Partick Thistle at right back. So he finds himself at left back today, though, the young man, and you know, taking it again in his stride. Just be delighted to be out there and playing for his country.
Yeah, some good young talent at Partick Thistle. So Anello Litsosa not in this under-21 squad, but was called up in the last camp. He's been good for the Jags so far this campaign. Ryan Oney overhits it, looked as if it may work out and get to Emilio Lawrence. Corner is given though, much to the bemusement of the Gibraltar defender.
Clearly referee unsure of what happened there. To be fair, the Gibraltar player's reaction at first, I thought, oh, it must be a corner, but then when he saw the referee give it, he wasn't too pleased, was he?
Taken short by Scotland this time, but Emilio Lawrence loses out.
Again, that's decision making for me there, Andrew. You know, make them defend. You know, yes, Watson tries to go short, and then Scotland up with the ball back near the halfway line, you know, after having a corner. Donovan actually does well there on that switch of play.
Yeah, almost even got it into the path of Ryan Oney, but Scotland at least managing to keep possession through that outstretched leg of Donovan.
Referee's really enjoying his whistle tonight, isn't he? He's really enjoying the occasion and constantly blowing it.
You'd think in these conditions he'd maybe just want to let the game flow, not have too much in the way of added time.
Chance would be a fine thing. You see Donovan queuing up for a long throw here.
Yeah, the 19-year-old going to launch this one. And it is a good effort. Landed at the feet of Wilson. Comes back out to Donovan. Clips it in. Oney on the turn. Just by the near post. Ryan Oney unlucky.
And this is what I mean, you know, just by making Gibraltar defend, they end up getting another opportunity. You know, there's no frills about it. You know, Donovan throws a long ball into the box. Yes, you know, first and second contact, Gibraltar managed to get it, but then Donovan comes in again and pulls the ball back to Oney, and he's unlucky there. So that's what I was talking about the corner earlier on. Just put the ball into the box and make them defend. Even if they get the first contact, if you can get onto the next ball, you might get an opportunity at goal.
Playing at a good club level, Ryan Oney, 6 English Championship appearances for him. For Sheffield United this season, 18 in total. Made his debut for them in the Premier League against Arsenal back in 2023.
Yeah, the young man's doing extremely well. You know, a tough league that I played in down the road is the Championship. So to be doing that at such a big club as well, I know they're not going too well this season. To have 6 appearances so far this season is really, really good for him. But again, another one that will want to take this opportunity in these games, show the manager, you know, Chris Wilder, why he should be starting week in, week out.
Donovan finds the run of Ryan Oney. Just can't sort his feet out at the byline. And then fouls Taylor Carrington, so free kick to Gibraltar.
It's just breaking down cheaply, isn't it, for Scotland in that final third? You know, yes, they've got the 1 goal through James Wilson, well taken goal at that. It's just been, you know, a little bit scrappy for them, a little bit too scrappy when they get into those good positions that they're turning the ball over and they're fouling Gibraltar. Probably better off letting them just clear it there because they've got no one up the pitch anyway and you pick up the next one. So I'm sure Scott Gemmill will be saying to his players now on the sidelines, but especially at half-time, the quality needs to go up, boys. We're getting into good areas, we just need to show a little bit more quality.
Long ball by Harry Victor, the Gibraltar goalkeeper. I think he'll be quite pleased that he's not seen as much action as he has done in the last couple of games.
Yeah, if you get another goal though, all the flashbacks will start coming back to him. They start reliving the nightmares that he's had in the past 2 games as another pass goes astray.
Yeah, Allen's pass slipping under the feet of Ben McPherson. Throw in to be taken by Javan Peacock. He goes back the way and it will be Harry Victor to put his foot through it. Won by Connor Allen, comes back in the direction of the Scotland defence. Surely a free kick to Scotland, it is. And Stevens just going over the top of Andy Todd.
When these free kicks are given though, Scotland just get their hand on the ball and play straight away, especially in these sorts of areas. Again, the ball's being dropped, Gibraltar get everyone behind the ball, then Scotland will now play, you know, a negative pass, go around the back.
Allen. Cleo Harding. Both central defenders have had loan spells at Kelty Hearts as part of their development. But both now very much part of Premiership squads. That's an overhit pass again from Scotland.
Yeah, again, you know, you've got Lawrence down that side trying to play the ball forward. McPherson, who's actually the fullback when you want it to be the other way around, is an overhit pass, but just want to get it to the wide men's feet and just leave them in 1v1 situations. I think that's going to be the best way for Scotland to get more goals within this game. Because, you know, I'm saying earlier on in the game, they're just clogging it up now really in that final third area. Got a lot of players there, a lot of bodies there, but there's a real lack of movement from Scotland.
Victor goes long. Headed out, and the free kick goes, throw-in, sorry, goes to Gibraltar.
Easy mistake, Andrew. The amount of times he's blown his whistle in this first half, mate. You expect him to give a free kick for anything.
Peacock to take, goes out for a throw-in to Scotland this time as the rain just gets heavier and heavier.
Someone just turned the rain machine on. Wow.
I think good job it's an artificial surface, because if this was real grass, we might be in danger.
That rain stays on, might be in danger on the artificial surface. It's extremely heavy out there.
Would you officially call that a leveller?
Oh, definitely. It'd be a leveller if I was out there, because I'd be walking off the pitch, mate.
Yeah, definitely not the easiest conditions to play football in. Scotland will be hoping, though, just to get that second goal before half-time. As the throw-in comes in quickly, potentially a mix-up at the back. Ewer inside, it's left by Wilson to One, the first-time pass. It's nice play by Scotland. Here's Donovan. Gibraltar clear.
Much better play there. Yes, it's gone off for a throw-in, but no, the play is really, really good. It's penetrative passes, you know, in and around the edge of the box. Donovan finds himself into a good area. Doesn't want to play it in straight away, so comes back out. But you know, a lot better from Scotland. And that's the pace they need to play it in that final third. It's okay having that slow build-up in the defensive third and the middle third. Get into that top area on quick passes to move to the opposition.
One thing Scott Gemmell will know, that when he looks behind him, he'll have plenty of players who'll be raring to go, wanting to make their impression at under-21 level. Quite a few guys who've been brought into the squad, not been in at this level before. Dylan Lobban, who's been impressive for Aberdeen in the last couple of weeks. Barney Stewart, the Dunfermline striker, coming into this in good form. Rory Wilson's back from injury, the young Aston Villa striker. Guys like Ryan Carr, Ethan Sutherland in the squad as well, who haven't represented Scotland at this level. Guys that will be desperate to try and come on and show what they can do.
100%. You just mentioned Lobban there, you know, a player who was on loan at Cove last season. Again, showing that the loan system does work up here in Scotland. He now finds himself in the Aberdeen first team, playing at right wing back. You know, a right back with a lot of energy. Really, really good player. So, you know, I was delighted for him when I saw he was called into this squad, because his performances and his attitude towards his work over the last 18 months has deserved this.
Ryan on his touch, just getting away from him on the touchline, and Gibraltar can try and get some bodies forward. Hans Stevens on the turn, but he's dispossessed. Andy Todd unable to skip by the challenge of Julian Brito, but Scotland once again have it back, and it's James Wilson. Slices it just by. Scotland unable to get that second goal yet.
Yeah, again, you know, he's alive. Watson does extremely well. He puts pressure on Gibraltar to turn the ball over. And Wilson will be really, really disappointed, as you see there, you know, with his head in his hands, that he didn't hit the target. You know, someone with his quality, just at the edge of the box, they expect to hit the target and, you know, the net to maybe ripple. But again, brilliant from Watson, you know, showing that counter press. And again, you know, Gibraltar trying to play out from the back's probably their own worst enemy in terms of turning the ball over. That's when you get the most space there. But again, Scotland doing the right things with Watson, turning the ball over, but Wilson just didn't play his part in that like he did with the first goal.
Conditions playing their part again there. Harry Victor having to go and collect the ball. Plays his football in his homeland for Bruno's Magpies.
Decent team that, yeah, they're really, really good, Andrew. I've watched them a few times, mate. Oh, as the keeper slips over the goal kick.
Slips, it does go to Gibraltar body though, and they do well actually to work the ball until it just goes under the feet of James Kitano. Gibraltar thought they'd had a throw in, but I think it's been given as a free kick to Scotland. Out on that left side. Here is Connor Allen. McPherson. Cleo Harding. Good ball forward to Ryan Oney. He's a powerful runner when he gets going, Oney. Maybe thought he'd won himself a corner at that point. Just a throw in that Scotland will need to settle for.
Again, they get up the pitch, though. A really good ball into him. Gibraltar actually double up on him. And it's 2v1 situation, but he's trying to be positive with his play. And they're probably the passes you want to see from the players at the back, whether it's to a fullback, to a winger. Make sure you're playing that ball forward.
Lawrence. Allen. Cleo Harding. To Colby Donovan, back to Cleo Harding. 4 Premiership appearances for him this season for Dundee United. Got himself a goal against Rangers as well. Well, the referee having absolutely none of that. I think he knew the ball had got away from him.
Yeah, he goes down really cheaply. I think it was Todd who goes down after trying to play the ball down the line. He hits it slightly too heavy. Probably surprised that he's not heard the referee's whistle though, because he's burning it for everything else this half. But again, it's good in terms of Scotland. They rotate positions. Todd finds himself wide this time, and Lawrence comes inside that number 10 position. But again, what we've spoken about, and sound like a broken record almost, is that quality in the final third, just letting them down.
Harry Victor just trying to push the ball down into the ground to make sure it stays.
I think that might work on a grass pitch, but I'm not really sure you're pushing that anywhere on a national turf pitch. Have to go back old school, Andrew, and someone have to put their foot on the ball for them to run up and kick it. But I'd say hand on the ball, but that'd be a penalty, wouldn't it?
Manages to get the ball forward this time. That clearance goes all the way through to Rory Adams, who has really been a spectator in this game so far. Cleo Harding to Kyle Ewart.
Even here, you look at Scotland trying to build up. They've got 4, maybe 5 players, too deep, behind everyone for Gibraltar. Euro takes himself slightly higher now. Watson comes in. But he's still got 4 players. The defensive side of Gibraltar's furthest attacking player, which makes it hard to break down the other side of it.
Cleo Harding. Donovan into Kyle Ewart. Donovan again, back to Ewart. That was Ewart's pass that led to Scotland's opening goal. Trying to get another assist here. It's chested down brilliantly. And Emilio Lawrence with the strike that has managed to be blocked. But that's a bit more like it from Scotland.
Yeah, a lot better. They realise they can't play through, so you're a fantastic ball into a dangerous area. Good movement from Todd to find himself on the back side of that play. And then chest it down, and Lawrence again, one thing on his mind is hitting the target. Straight at the goalkeeper, unfortunately, he pulls the save off, but Scotland have a corner here.
We are about 30 seconds into the 2 minutes that have been added at the Europa Point Stadium. David Watson's corner into a real dangerous area. Can Scotland get the decisive touch on it? They can't this time. But maybe an opportunity to create one more chance before the whistle goes.
Yeah, I'll be telling Donovan to come out and throw this ball right into the box. Every single set play that's gone into the box, Gibraltar haven't looked too sure. Nobody comes short, just get it into the box. Be a perfect time for Scotland to get that second goal. Take the wind out of the sails of the Gibraltar players.
Well, was involved in a couple of goals in the home game against Gibraltar. Colby Donovan. Those throw-ins can be dangerous, but not when a foul is committed and the ball's on its way in. Taylor Carrington down. Ryan Oney protesting. He's not happy with the award of a free kick.
Yeah, he doesn't seem happy. It's probably a cheap one from Scotland's point of view to give away. You're better off just standing there and making Gibraltar defend. Again, Donovan puts a really, really good long throw in. And Scotland don't get to benefit from it because the whistle's blown as soon as the ball kind of enters the field of play.
I think Gibraltar will be just quite happy to see the clock tick down towards the halfway mark of this match.
It'd be a small victory for them, won't it? Being 1-0 down at half time, and it's not like the goalkeepers have to pull off save after save, or there's been a lot of goal line kind of blocks for them. So from their point of view, the manager will get them in and talk about all the positives that they're only 1-0 down, and don't take one moment within this game.
Well, that is what it's about for the smaller nations. It's about staying in the game, seeing what you can do. Gibraltar have stayed in this one so far. Scotland maybe not as clinical, creative as Scott Gemmell would have liked, or as we saw in the home match between these two, but Scotland do still have the lead going into half-time. James Wilson, the goal scorer, 4 in 4 under-21 games from him. Certainly not easy conditions out there. Scott Gemmell has some things to mull over at the break. Whether he turns to his bench or not, we will see very shortly. But we'll come back with some of the first half highlights and the second half shortly, but the Scottish FA have been sitting down with John McGinn ahead of a crucial qualifier for the World Cup tonight, away at Greece for the senior team. Let's hear from the Aston Villa man.
I think qualifying for the World Cup with Scotland would eclipse anything I've ever achieved in a game. 100% I've thought about it. I allow myself to think about it because why not?
John, I'd love to think this is the strangest place you've ever done an interview, but it's probably not.
Carpool karaoke with Kenny Miller when you wish for anything.
Things will never be that bad. People don't have to suffer that much. Big week, going into a big game, no mucking about, amazing facilities, great weather. It all comes down to Greece.
We can't complain. Amazing hotel, brilliant pitches, huge preparation. Going into Saturday, we know the job at hand, what we need to do to set ourselves up for Tuesday, but full focus is on Saturday. We're training hard, we've got no excuses come Saturday.
How are you feeling going into it? Obviously Steve was a wee bit down, and I know you guys were after the last couple of games, but no one's going to care even when we qualify.
Nah, I think the last two performances weren't great, but like we keep touching on, the performance probably can't get any worse in those two games, but the two results were really good and sets us up for an exciting finish. So if you asked us at the start of the campaign, would we like to be in this position, I think the majority of us and the majority of the country would say yes. So I think we can be pleased with where we're at. We've given ourselves a great opportunity to qualify directly, and we're going to give it absolutely everything to do that.
It's amazing to be in this position. You don't believe, Andy Robertson, that you can remember France 98, do you? You've said this before.
Nah, I can't remember it. Robbo says he can, but he was slightly older than me, maybe a few months, but I can't remember.
He remembers the family party and he remembers wee flags about the house and stuff like that, but you've said to say you don't remember anything.
Nah, I don't. I can only remember watching World Cups on the telly. I mean, it's obviously the pinnacle of football, professional football, and for a Scotland team to be involved in that, it doesn't even bear thinking about. So we're the group of guys that can go and achieve that and go and create some history and do it. So I'm sure that the whole nation's excited, but for us it's to sort of bottle that excitement up and use it to fuel us for Saturday.
Like, you take it for granted that every footballer likes football, but knowing you and your brothers, like you boys love football. I remember speaking to you before the first Euros you qualified for, and even the sticker book was a novelty. I mean, what would a World Cup mean? I
think I've said it a few times. I think I've been lucky enough to do many good things in the game. Not everything I've achieved in football's resulted in medals or things like that, but I've managed to do a few special things which will live me forever. But I think qualifying for the World Cup with Scotland would eclipse anything I've ever achieved in the game. So for us, we know we've got 180 minutes to put ourselves in the best possible chance, and starting Saturday we know it's going to be so difficult. Greece will feel like they owe us one. So we need to go there and put in a similar performance to what we did when we won there last time out, and we're going to have to suffer. We know that. We're going to have to defend, we're going to have to put our bodies on the line, but if you want to play in a World Cup, if you want to play on the biggest stage, you need to suffer at times and feel that. So we're excited, we're fully prepared and ready to go, and like I say, we're ready.
There's not many teams went over there the way we did. What do we need to do well to do that again? Similar
to the first half. Maybe not the second half, we were under the cosh a little bit, but we defended well, we created chances on the break, and we looked like a Scotland team. We were fighting for everything, we provided moments of quality, and I think we deserve to win over there. We're going to have to, like I say, suffer the same. It's an intense atmosphere. I've played there with my club and played there with Scotland, so fans are right on top of you, they're passionate and they're loud, and once you get that out of the way, you play your football, and hopefully we can show what we're capable of and come out with a positive result.
Do you let your mind wander? Do you let yourself dream, or is it fully conditioned, one game at a time and all those cliches?
You'd be lying if you said you didn't think about it. You see teams qualifying, you remember the feeling of qualifying for 2 European Championships and just think about every celebration times 2. So I 100% have thought about it. I allow myself to think about it because why not manifest it and just see if you can put yourself in that position. And standing in the tunnel on Saturday and standing in the tunnel on Tuesday will make sure I'll take my mind to the Tartan Army and America, Mexico or Canada.
I mean, they feed off you and vice versa. What are you looking for in the night from them?
I just support the way they have been. I think what I see more than most, having spent many years being around the Scotland setup, is Tartan Army, Scotland games, Scotland success is people's lives, and people work to earn money to travel and follow Scotland, and we can give them probably their best ever experience in following Scotland in a World Cup in North America. So as long as the boys know that, we don't take that for granted. The dedication, the hours they put in away from the football to afford to come and watch us, we don't take that for granted. And like I said, it's much more than a game of football for a lot of these guys.
It's another cliche, but it is like a club spirit in the dressing room. Like, you go way back with some of these boys. I mean, it would feel like you were able to go full circle if you were to get to a World Cup with half a dressing room that you've shared since you were Scotland Under-19s, 21s, men's A.
The journey for a lot of days has been incredible. You build bonds and friendships that will last you a lifetime. I know that we'll get the tag now of an ageing group, but what we have in there, no other national team will be able to replicate. No egos, just normal guys looking to be successful for their country, and it's a privilege to come away and be involved in that. The minute anybody steps out of line, it can be a younger guy, it can be someone who's just at the middle of their Scotland career, but everyone keeps himself focused, humble. There's times where we let ourselves down on the pitch, there's no getting away from that, but we suffer together and we celebrate together. So privileged to be a part of the group, and hopefully many years to come.
It's not been a straight line for a lot of you boys either. Like, every footballer's got setbacks, but for a lot of boys, it's not as if a lot of you were wonder kids at 13, 14. A lot of you have had setbacks, injuries, been released at various points. Like, do you think that's added to the character in the group?
I think it's hopefully relatable for a lot of the young people now aspiring to be footballers. You look at Andy Robertson playing for Queen's Park, then going to be a Champions League and Premier League winner. He made me believe, even though he's the same age as me, that I could go and compete in the Premier League. And hopefully people in Scotland now, whether they're at a club that would be called a so-called lower club in Scotland, or playing at boys' clubs, you just never know where it can take you. And hopefully, like you say, we've had loads of setbacks, whether that's growing up, through our careers, relegations, failed moves. I think there's a lot of ups and downs in that group, and you use those experiences to not only to learn from, but to hopefully inspire the younger generation.
When you got involved when you were in the Championship, it must have felt a long way from a World Cup at that point.
I will always be grateful to Gordon Strachan for that. I remember he got absolutely slaughtered for me getting picked for the squad, but what that was an opportunity to grab with both hands, and thankfully I managed to do that, and instead of pretty much a regular ever since. So I think now we've got a good balance. Maybe a few of us on the kind of older side, but it's up to the younger players to come in and try and take our place. And so far, the ones that are here are improving every squad, and it's brilliant to have them about.
What does the rest of this week look like?
No, the water slides or any stuff here, but no, I'm just trying to stay as calm and as focused as possible. I think we're excited, but it's probably quite nice being away from home, probably not hearing any of the noise and just focusing on the game. So we'll travel there on Friday, soak up the atmosphere and be ready to go Saturday night.
Do you need wound up or calm down before a game?
No, I'm calm. Probably too calm in some people's eyes, but it's just the way I am. I think you've trained since you were 7 or 8 to be in these situations and scenarios, and you're in control. When you're stood in the tunnel, you're in control of what you're going to do. Doesn't always work, but you know you've done whatever you possibly can to prepare yourself. So in that sense, it's much easier being on the pitch. It's much more nerve-wracking being at the side watching. So for me, I'm calm, don't really get nervous, and I'm really excited to go.
Who's the opposite? Who's bouncing off walls?
I'd say I'm bouncing off walls, probably not in a serious way.
That's good.
I don't know, everyone's different. Rob was a little bit more stern and serious. Big Scotty, sometimes the same. Everyone's different. Different characters, and that's what makes us as gel as a group. So everyone kind of bounces off each other in different ways, but ultimately it's how you can prepare best for a game. It's what suits you, and I think the manager has evolved as well with that. He's allowed us to prepare in that way and given us a chance to do that.
There's a great scene in Craig Brown's World Cup diary in 1998. Colin Calderwood's so fired up for the Brazil game that he walks the wrong way down the tunnel, away from the pitch. There's nobody that wound up, nobody that intense that they're...
I don't think there would be anyone that wound up to walk in a different direction, but hopefully we can have our own documentary late 98.
Well, listen, all the best when it comes.
Thank you, Kenny.
A huge match for the senior side tonight that takes place in 45 minutes, but we've got another 45 minutes to go here. Gibraltar Under-21s against Scotland Under-21s. The only goal from the first half was this one from James Wilson. Lovely pass by Kyle Ure to play him through and a calm finish.
Yeah, really, really good ball, you know, and then Wilson does what he does in front of goal and puts the ball into the back of the net, you know, and you thought that would calm the kind of Scotland nerves from there. As you see here, you know, a free kick from Watson coming in, and you know, unfortunately, it was disallowed with the ball ending up in the back of the net from a corner kick.
Yeah, Andy Todd thought he'd had his first Scotland goal with that header. Was it to be? He was also chasing that long ball over the top from David Watson. Scotland couldn't create anything here. This was the closest Scotland came to adding a second. James Wilson's deflected strike tipped over by Harry Victor.
Yeah, no surprise it was Wilson on the end of something else. He's really alive with the ball being turned over. Gets a shot, but unfortunately the deflection takes it over the crossbar.
Ryan Oney firing just wide.
Yeah, an opportunity, probably a man of that quality expected to hit the target at least. But again, it's good play from Donovan down the right hand side. Oney just drags his shot wide.
Not even a match highlight, that one, just showing the rain teeming down the conditions that these players have to compete with. This was a James Wilson shot. He could have had a hat-trick so far.
Yeah, at this point he didn't hit the target with that one. Watson does well to turn the ball back over, and Wilson doesn't hit the target with it, but it was a good area.
And Emilio Lawrence, who got 4 against Gibraltar in the last meeting between the two, came close to adding a second for Scotland, and a first for him on the night, but it was saved by Harry Victor in the Gibraltar goal. So it is 1-0 to Scotland at the halfway point of this match. The rain not letting up at all at the Europa Point Stadium. Both teams have to deal with these conditions. We'll bring you news of any changes. I don't think Scotland and Scott Gemmell have altered anything going into the second half. But I think Scott Gemmell will want to see a bit more from the team that started the game.
Yeah, I think I want to see a lot more. You know, I think some stern words would have been said in there at half-time, because ultimately the performance overall in that first 45 minutes wasn't good enough from the quality of players that are out there for Scotland today. So, yeah, I think you would have told those players and maybe said, listen, you've got 15 minutes to up it and show me kind of, you know, not a different attitude, but a better quality in terms of your work. If not, you know, we'll turn to my bench, what you're speaking about earlier, Andrew, and make the substitutions that he has to. But yeah, listen, Scotland needs to up the tempo and then definitely up the quality in that kind of final third area.
Yeah, you'd expect an early feature of this second half will be Scotland upping the tempo as they try to get the ball forward quickly. I think that was a deflected cross, so Scotland will have a chance from a corner early in this 45.
Yeah, again, it's an opportunity nice and early in the half to see if Gibraltar are switched on defensively. You know, this ball should definitely be going in the box from Watson, and again, like I said there, make Gibraltar defend. Scotland players go and attack it and see if the Gibraltar players can stick with them.
David Watson's delivery drops in towards the penalty spot as Kyle Ewer battles to win the ball back for Scotland. Does so. Julian Brito. Clearance deflects back into him. Scotland will get the throw. Is that a message then you feel from Scott Gemmell for the players? Just go out there and show a bit more intensity, a bit more fight and passion and all that type of thing?
Yeah, a bit more everything, Andrew. You know, again, as we see the ball come into the box there.
Yeah, it's dropped nicely at the edge of the box. And it's blocked. Defender saving Harry Victor from having to make a save. Scotland with an early chance. And the pressure continues with Emilio Lawrence. The left-footed cross looked to be a decent one, but it's just past Ryan Oney.
Yeah, no, definitely. In answer to your question, I think, you know, at half-time he'd be definitely saying to the players they need to show a lot more in terms of quality. You know, speed of play, speed of thought. You know, when you get to this final kind of that final third, can we show more quality and composure in terms of the ball coming into the box, making Gibraltar defend? And if they do turn the ball over, like you saw with Watson in the first half, can we go and counter press and force them into a mistake? You know, there was no part of that first half display that I think Scott Gemmell and the players ultimately would have been happy with. You know, they know that they're a lot better than what they've shown in that first half. And like I said, you probably said to them, we'll give you 15 minutes in the second half to show me kind of a different you. If not, I'll make substitutions.
Nice feet by Sam Cleal-Harding initially, but Lucas Scanlon on the ball, the Burnley youngster. Tries to find Kitano. Scotland get it away, claiming for a free kick. It was a late challenge in there by Karim Boussalam.
Yeah, I think it's Donovan, isn't it, that reaches to make the clearance when the pass into him is a little bit short. But he's brave, you know, he plays through the ball. It looks like he could have got caught on his ankle there. But you see here with Gibraltar, you know, they're a little bit more aggressive in this second half. They're trying to press higher up the pitch at the start of it. I mean, this ball just comes loose here. You see Donovan goes in, he's fully committed. There's two players coming together, but when you're in that kind of that stretched position, it can be a real sore one for him. As we see the physio come on again.
Yeah, not something that Celtic fans will want to see, just given the injury issues they've had at right back so far this campaign, especially with Alistair Johnson. Kobe Donovan has been one of the men that's been deputising.
Yeah, you know, 100%. Martin O'Neill will be probably watching this game and hoping that the young man can get up, because we've got some important, you know, fixtures coming up if he is to still be the manager there. That Donovan would definitely be needed for. You know, maybe not going to start every single one, but definitely to be in and around the squad. It looks like he's in a little bit of pain, the young man.
You do wonder whether it would be Dylan Lobban potentially to come on for his Scotland Under-21 debut, the Aberdeen youngster.
Oh, he's signalled for a substitution. Yeah, I just saw the physio there, signal for a substitution. So, in answer to your question, we'll definitely see who's gonna come on here. As I said, you know, it's a sore one when you are in that extended position. You know, you've got no real control over when contact does come in. So, you know, he's fully committed to the clearance, but unfortunately, it's like that'll be the end of his game. Yeah,
a real shame for Kobe Donovan, who, as we mentioned earlier, has been his breakout season. 8 appearances for Celtic. The 19-year-old has been a regular feature of Scott Gemmell's Under-21 squads. He's been versatile as well, can play right back, he's played right centre back in some games. It looks as if his evening will be over. Yeah, I actually think a stretcher has been called for.
Yeah, you're right, Andrew. I've just seen the referee was speaking to them, and then he's signalled for the stretcher to come on and help him off. Not great news at all for the young man, as he said, in his breakthrough season, doing extremely well. It's the last thing you want to see a young player going down with an injury and unfortunately having to be stretchered off the pitch. Hopefully it's just a precautionary matter rather than anything too serious.
Well, Colby Donovan gets tended to. This was the early chance that Scotland had. The ball breaking to the edge of the box. David Watson with the strike. A good block at the edge of the 6-yard box.
Yeah, and it's great awareness from Todd when that ball does come in, to just head it towards the edge of the box, knowing that there'll be Scotland players coming onto it. And Watson, really, really good technique, hits the ball into the ground, making sure it's going on target and it's blocked and taken away. But that comes from a cross coming into the box there, Andrew. I spoke about in the first half, making Gibraltar defend. Even if you don't, get that first header on target, you might have to head it back, because you saw there with Todd, you should be putting them under a lot more pressure this half.
Well, it's going to be Dylan Lobban to come on. He was another late call up into the squad. So he's a man who didn't think he'd be featuring at all in this camp. And he'll get a big opportunity to impress. He took his big opportunity a couple of weeks ago when he made his debut for Aberdeen against Kilmarnock. He was then thrown straight into their Conference League fixture away at Ike Larnaca, where Aberdeen got a really solid point over in Cyprus, and then played again against Motherwell last weekend. So 3 appearances in a row for him, having never played for Aberdeen before, and now he's going to make his Scotland Under-21 debut. So a brilliant couple of weeks for Dylan Lobban.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant for the young man, and it's unfortunate Donovan has to go on, but Lobban now needs to come on and take his opportunity. A young man who decided to go out on loan last season to Cove, and it went really, really well for him. He was a top player for them. He played in the playoff final against Airdrie, did extremely well in that game. I've seen him a fair few times last season, plenty of energy, real good right foot on him. He wants to get forward and join an attack, so this should be the perfect game for him, and hopefully it works out well.
Yeah, we'll wish Colby Donovan well. Hopefully it's not too serious an injury for the Celtic youngster. And Dylan Lobban with an opportunity. As I mentioned, he has shown that you can grasp these opportunities. Can he now do it at Scotland Under-21 level? As we get this one back underway with Connor Allen. Cleo Harding. Here's Ben McPherson. Forward to Emilio Lawrence, trying to flick that one round the corner quickly. Scotland lose possession, but Ben McPherson wins it back. Watson has the run of Dylan Lobban, will be his first involvement. You can see there is a purpose about Scotland when they get on the ball, looking to play a bit quicker than they were in that first half.
Yeah, trying to play a little bit quicker, and at times they've had to be a little bit more direct as well, which makes it harder for Gibraltar to get into that shape that we saw in the first half, whether it's a 4-5-1 or sometimes it's been a 5-4-1. They really are trying to make Gibraltar defend and think about what they're doing.
Cleo Harding over to Lobban. Skips by his man. Just loses out. Scotland do have it back though. Wilson with the flick. Here is Andy Todd with the strike, and didn't look too far away.
No, it didn't, and it's definitely a player with that sort of quality to test the goalkeeper from that sort of range. So again, Scotland turn it over, then Gibraltar get it, and then Scotland counter-press them, which is something they weren't doing in the first half outside of Watson, who created a chance for Wilson. But again, second time they've done it in the game. This time Wilson counter-pressing and Todd getting a shot away.
From a footballing family, Andy Todd, his dad of the same name, played for Dunfermline. His brother John is at Dunfermline as well, part of Scotland's Under-19 squad.
Not doing too bad, are they, the brothers?
Ure with the ball aiming for James Wilson, but isn't able to find him. Kitano trying to flick it round one side of Connor Allen, but easy for the Falkirk defender to deal with it. Lobban. Scotland actually doing well to get the ball out of a tricky position.
Yeah, did really well there because it looked like could have got caught on the ball. And Adams was delayed in his pass out to Lobben, who does well. Has his back to it, and he has to, lay it backwards, and then Scotland try and play the ball forward. But that's probably the best opportunity when you have Gibraltar pressing you, and they commit a lot of players into that. If you can play through that, it's your best opportunity of getting a goal, Andrew. As silly as it sounds, so it's not the worst thing Gibraltar coming on to Scotland in the second half.
Sam Cleal-Harding. Over to the captain, Watson. Ryanoni was wanting that ball over the top, but Watson choosing to keep it close by. Good feet by Connor Allen. Todd. Creates a bit of space. McPherson. Scotland look to be readying another change. Can certainly see Rory Wilson down there, who will be delighted to be back in the under-21 fold. Almost a year out with an ankle injury. Back scoring goals for Aston Villa's youth sides.
Yeah, he's done extremely well, hasn't he, since coming back into that youth team. And again, another attacking option. Obviously, Scott Gemmell's probably seen enough in this second half to say that we need to change it and we need to provide a spark. Be interested to see who comes off for him. Whether it is, one of the wide players, whether it's Todd in that number 10 position.
Watson. Brilliant pass by David Watson. Ure. He's looking in behind for James Wilson. Kitano took it down for Gibraltar, but Scotland back in possession. Here is Ryanoni, but skids off that wet surface, and he's unable to get the ball under control. Scotland will be able to make that change now. And it will be Ryanoni's final act in this game. It's going to be Rory Wilson that comes on for him. And it's going to be Taylor Stephen that comes on as well. The St Johnstone man who is on loan at Arbroath this campaign.
Yeah, those substitutions don't surprise me at all. Both wide men coming off. I said in the first half they didn't really show the quality that was needed in that final third when they got into good positions. And now it looks like Wilson will go actually wide right and work from that side. So yeah, Scott Gemmell freshening it up. He's not been happy with the reaction of the players, and ultimately he's probably followed through what I said he would have said it to them at half time. You've got 10 or 15 minutes to show an improvement. If you don't do that, then I'll use a substitute bench.
Rory Wilson just closing down Harry Victor. He'll be keen to try and get his first under-21 goal. Does have 3 appearances at this level. His last cap was back in 2023. He's played for the 19 since then, and as I mentioned, has had a bad ankle injury. So still been working his way up to top fitness again in the last few weeks and months, as Taylor Stephen gets his first chance on the ball, but Javan Peacock was quick to halt him.
Yeah, it was a welcome to the game tackle, wasn't it, from a full-back onto a winger. Taylor Stephen bounces straight back up though. He's made a strong stuff, that young man. Had a couple of really good loan spells, really good loan spells. So again, someone coming on that's played in the lower tiers of Scottish football to help him ply his trade, and now playing under-21 football.
Yeah, loan moves have definitely been a big part of his development. East Fife, Alloa, was on loan at Cliftonville for a spell too. Now at Arbroath, where he's got a couple of goals in 10 appearances this season. For a high-flying Arbroath team. Stephen. Ball whipped in, it's a brilliant delivery. And Scotland so close, with Andy Todd sliding in. Must have been inches away from getting a touch on that.
Am I saying things? I'm pretty sure the Gibraltar defender put that behind. And they're giving a goalkeeper. Look, like you said, get it into that wide area. Then it's an underlap. Fantastic ball put into the box. And yeah, the Gibraltar defender puts it behind, and the referee and the assistant referee managed to give a goal kick somehow. But again, more positive play from Scotland. Like I said, putting that ball into the box, make the opposition defend. Should have a corner out the other side of it.
Yeah, pretty baffling decision, that one. Julian Brito clearly playing the ball out. Scotland getting the ball into a good area. They'll be hoping to do a bit more of that. Good ball over the top by David Watson, and Taylor Stephen takes it down.
But again there, Watson picks the ball at one thing on his mind. You know, you've got forward runners now from the wide areas, put the ball in behind, get them into a foot race, make Gibraltar defend. So even in this, you know, first 15 minutes, you see the Gibraltar players, like, you know, they're realising now that they're being stretched and they're being asked to work extremely hard, which you didn't really see too much of in the first half. A lot of sideways pass, a lot of backward passing in the first half. Now in the second half, been a little bit more direct. When they get into those good areas, they're making them defend.
Ball laid off to David Watson, who I think a challenge too many in there, surrounded by about 4 Gibraltar players. Well, an hour into this match, maybe not the goal-scoring spree that many would have expected, given that Scotland won 12-0 at home against Gibraltar, but the home side have defended well. Scotland maybe just not showing the levels of creativity that they would have wanted to, but still half an hour to try and change that. Watson. Here is Kyle Ure. He's playing his football at Ayr United this season. First time cross is a good one. But no light blue shirt can get the contact on it.
Yeah, another ball into the box though that Gibraltar managed to deal with. It didn't look too convincing in terms of dealing with it. Looked more lucky than good, but again, you know, you're causing them problems in terms of making them switch on, making them defend. Sooner or later you'll see it. You know, a ball coming from a wide area and Gibraltar player will switch off to it.
Rory Wilson trying to play that one round the corner after receiving the pass from David Watson, but Scotland forced to go all the way back to Rory Adams. How cold and wet do you think Rory Adams is?
Honestly, he must just be out there thinking that if there's one game for me to be rested in, I'd like to have been today when I've seen these conditions. But then he'd be thinking, right, another clean sheet, can I get another clean sheet to my name? You know, that's what goalkeepers thrive on. He's doing extremely well down at East Fife and you know, applying this trade there. You know, under-21 clean sheets shouldn't be sniffed at, so that's one thing that he'll be looking for now.
Yeah, 10 appearances for East Fife this season. Was on the bench for Dundee United in the Conference League qualifiers earlier on this season, as the ball comes in and headed just over. Another big opening for Scotland. James Wilson at the back post, but can't direct that header on target.
Yeah, and that should be the goal. You know, that's what I'm speaking about. You know, the opposition defender on that far side switches off. Wilson comes ghosting in at the back post. And again, a man of his quality should be hitting the back of the net with that header, and you see his frustration as he kicks the ball behind it. Taylor Stevens come on, has probably put 3 or 4 fantastic crosses in you know, what, about 10 minutes? Like I said, you know, that's exactly what Scotland needed to be doing, forcing Gibraltar to defend, and that young man's came onto the pitch and is hoping to provide players with assists or opportunities definitely to put the ball in the back of the net.
Despite all those loan spells that we talked about for Taylor Stephen, he's also played 31 times for St Johnstone, so he's got good experience for his parent club as well. It's a good ball in behind, just ahead of David Watson, who loves making those late runs into the box.
Yeah, and that's what you want to see, Watson. You know, we saw him, like I said earlier on, he was coming far too deep to pick the ball up between the centre halves, false fullback position, and he had to play the ball through 11 Gibraltar players. You want to see him trying to get on the end of things there, like making those forward runs. Doesn't need to be going back the other way today.
The ball whipped in by Ben McPherson. Taylor Stephen will take it down. Let's get Todd for company. He will shoot from that type of range, Andy Todd. And it's a good save by Harry Victor, because Andy Todd's strike was curling into that bottom corner.
A really good save from Harry Victor. Taylor Stephen does fantastically well here though. He gives the ball to Todd, he makes the underlapping run to drag the defender out of the hole. Todd comes inside, and as soon as he bends that ball, he expects to hit the back of the net. No, Harry Victor does extremely well to watch that, because it just goes past his defender before he can dive. It ends up being a really good save from the young man.
Well, Scotland maybe getting closer. Those 2 chances in the last few minutes, one for James Wilson and that strike from Andy Todd. What can they do from this corner? Comes all the way out to Kyle Ure. David Watson dispossessed, but will be a throw into Scotland. Dylan Lobban will take. Not sure he's quite got the long throw that Colby Donovan does. David Watson. Ball is into the 6-yard box, but Harry Victor gathers and will, I think, quite gladly just lie on the ball for a couple of seconds before getting up.
Yeah, trying to get a little bit of respite for the players in front of him who are really now being tested by these Scotland wingers and forward players. So I'm sure they would have said to him, can you stay down for a little bit longer? But with the new rule coming in, you give a corner away. And there's only so long you can lay on the ball before you have to kick it. Again, better from Scotland. Just need to up this tempo again now. You know, you don't want your centre-halves having the most touches on the ball. As I say that, you know, they fire a ball into Todd there. I think it's Cleveland Harden that fires it into Todd, and you know, it's a difficult one for him to control, so it goes off for a throw-on.
So 3 changes made by Scott Gemmell so far. You'd expect there may well be another couple that he looks to as Scotland try and put this game to bed. Good pace shown by Dylan Lobban. It is a real attribute of his game, being able to get forward at speed.
Yeah, and he can repeatedly do it as well. They've got a great engine on the young man.
Ben McPherson tried to cut that one back to the edge of the box rather than whip it in.
Yeah, it was the right idea from him as well. You know, you saw Taylor Stephen going to that sort of area. It was a good spot from him. Just the execution wasn't quite on. There's another Scotland player down. I think that's Wilson down.
Yeah,
now,
James Wilson down, the goal scorer in this match.
Hopefully he's just taking a bang and a tackle or something rather than anything too serious. Well, the physio doesn't seem to be rushing onto the pitch, so maybe it's just adjusting something.
Yeah, maybe it looks to be fixing his boots there, James Wilson. And the physios are told to stay where they are, which is good news.
Bet they wish the referee told them that when they're under shelter. Not them on the side of the pitch getting soaked as one of them put their hood up. But he's taking his boot off, isn't he? Just readjusting something.
Well, 8 goals he's got for Hearts in his 42 appearances. Still just 18 years old. Feels as if he's been about for quite a long time.
Yeah, he burst on the scene really, really young, didn't he? And you know, he's someone who signed a new contract as a young player at Hearts as well, because he's confident that, you know, he can progress there, and you know, eventually maybe Hearts will look to sell him. But you know, he's someone who's put his faith into the football club. Has he played as many minutes as he wants to this season so far? No, but it's a long season. He's still a really, really young man. So yeah, listen, I'm sure opportunities will come for him, and when they do come, I'm pretty sure he'll take them.
Yeah, some quality players ahead of him in that Hearts squad, but the one benefit is that he gets to train with them every single day.
Yeah, he'd be taking a lot from that as well. You know, they sit top of the league. They've brought in some really, really good players. The players who were there prior to this season as well have taken their level of performance up. So like you said, training will be absolutely fantastic. They've got a huge squad there. They played an in-house game actually the other day. You know, and they can field 2 really, really strong 11s and have good substitutions there as well. So it's a real strong squad at Hearts. So you know, it's no slight being out of the squad when you're such a young man. You understand that, and when he gets opportunities, like I said, he said earlier on in the interviews that he'll try and take them.
Dylan Lobban using his pace to get back and make sure that Lucas Scanlon doesn't get onto the ball. Scotland now getting the ball forward with Andy Todd. Chases Kyle Clinton, wins the ball from Kyle Clinton and then wins the foul.
Brilliant from Todd, because he's almost chasing a lost cause there. You know, defender's definitely in control of the situation, it seems. Todd doesn't give up. As soon as he tries to turn, he steals the ball back from him and then gets Scotland a free kick in a real dangerous area now. I'm sure Watson will be looking to whip this into the box.
First booking of the game goes to the Gibraltar captain, Clinton. The man that scored their only goal of this qualification process so far. And they are capable of frustrating teams, because they did it against Czechia. They went 1-0 up against them here through that Kyle Clinton penalty. Czechia managed to turn the game around, but it took them until late in the game to make it 2-1. So Scotland not the only team that Gibraltar have managed to do this with. Not quite sure why.
Yeah. The referee just ruined the set play, because it was definitely on there to have that pullback there. Lobman's still going out. It's the way that Gibraltar was setting up with having so many players zonal and a couple marking at the back. The edge of the box is always going to be free.
Well, Watson puts it in this time. It looked as if Scotland might have got a header on target, but Gibraltar can clear as far as Taylor Stephen. McPherson. Looking to be positive. Here's Taylor Stephen. Maybe just not quite on the same wavelength as Andy Todd.
Todd made the run and then stopped, didn't he? But again, he reacts to it, puts Gibraltar under a bit of pressure, and Scotland get a throw in.
Well, I think just before Ben McPherson takes this throw in, there is going to be a change. Not sure that board's right. It says number 93 is coming off. Definitely not a number 93 on the pitch.
Oh, I have to check my notes 2 or 3 times there, because I'm thinking I've not seen a number 93 on there. I think they're just going to use the good old-fashioned communication, aren't they, rather than the fancy board to just make the substitutions.
Yeah, get the admin out the way. Is Bousalam that makes his way off. For Max Batista. And the second change for Gibraltar, it's going to be Leon Mason that comes on. And it's Lucas Scanlon that is the man that comes off, the 16-year-old. Has actually been capped by Gibraltar's senior team. A good story, that one as well, because his brother plays for the senior team. His plan back in September for the game against the Faroes, he was just going to go and watch the game as a spectator. And then the manager, Scott Wiseman, caught wind of the fact that he was going to be over there. He's a young talent, he's in Burnley's academy. He then said, well, why don't you come in and train with the first team? Trained with the first team, got into the squad, and actually ended up coming off the bench for his brother in that game against the Faroes. Just 16 years old and 57 days when he made his debut.
Wow, so you mean to tell me if I was born in Gibraltar, I'd have been an international footballer, even still now that I'm retired? No, listen, a fantastic story, and something that dreams are made of for the young man, something that we'll never ever forget, you know, how he made his debut for his national team. So, no, fantastic for him. Like you said, you know, plies his trade at Burnley, a club that I used to play for. They think very, very highly of him. He's doing well there. So, yeah, listen, again, looking at players today and thinking who's going to have a bright future, he might be another one, because at 16 years of age, you know, did look out of place playing against some really good Scotland players today.
Marvin Bartley, the international footballer. What a concept.
I'm going to look and see if my granddad or something was from Gibraltar. He's still got a chance, mate. I'm only 39.
Well, Gibraltar have made those changes. Will they make a difference in the closing stages of the match? And they've given themselves a chance, Gibraltar. That's all they can really hope for in games like this when they are the underdog. Stay in things, try and nick something late on. Rory Wilson not happy with the challenge by Hans Stevens, who will go into the book. He joins Kyle Clinton in being booked so far.
Yeah, it's one of those fouls, wasn't it, that you make as a player. You know someone's getting away from you, and Wilson was doing just that. You know, he brings him down, and the referee just saying to him here, you don't need to referee the game, I'll referee it. You're not here in the first half that I was blowing my whistle every 2 seconds. I'll continue to do that, mate. And I'll now make bookings. So from Gibraltar's point of view, it's a good foul because you slow down the attack. From Scotland's point of view, it's a frustrating one because there's a chance to counter-attack them.
Kyle Ure to take this one. Playing his football under Scott Brown. He's, of course, a young Celtic midfielder. Kyle Ure, I'm not sure there's many other Scottish midfielders that as a young Celtic player he'd rather be plying his trade under this season. Yeah,
exactly. You know, someone for him to learn from who's played his position at the highest of levels as well. So, you know, it makes perfect sense for a young midfielder to go on loan there. You also got Stephen Whittaker as well. His career wasn't too bad, was it? So, yeah, you know, 2 really, really good players for him to learn from, and good coaches now also.
McPherson finds Taylor Stephen. Good challenge by Javan Peacock. Scotland get the throw. Allen to Ure. Back to Cleel Harding.
Watson's now finding himself in that full-back position again. He just wants touches of the ball, the young man, but it's not helping in terms of needing him at the top end of the pitch.
Scotland do well on the right side to open things up, but comes over to the left, McPherson. Cleel Harding. Conditions once again look as if they're getting even worse somehow. Ure takes it down, strike from Kyle Ure. Why not when it bounces up like that?
Yeah, exactly. So it's a real good ball put him from lobbing as well on his weaker left foot. A real deep cross. It's difficult to defend, like I say, with these conditions, the ball moving everywhere. You're just trying to get any sort of purchase on it. It falls to the edge of the box. Like I said, with a left foot like Ure, it bounces perfectly for him. He's trying to guide it, isn't he, into the kind of that top corner, and he just misjudges it slightly and it goes over the bar.
He'll be glad to be out getting that first team football. Kyle Ure this season was a regular for Celtic's B team, played for their youth side in the UEFA Youth League as well, but it's a different game going into the championship.
Yeah, it's different games, different pressures as well. Yes, I know that the B teams are in the Lowland League, but the pressure of, you know, turning up for air and you know, performing and fans putting pressure on you, etc., is very, very different to playing B team football. We've spoken about, you know, a lot of these young Scottish players going out on loans from their parent clubs and then coming back as better players, and it's so important to get minutes as a young player. You know, whether it's a loan or you're permanently somewhere else, like we're seeing Todd playing in the Championship, it's so important that you do get minutes under your belt, because that's the best way to develop.
Harry Victor to take this goal kick. Goes long in the direction of James Kitano. It's come forward nicely for Scotland. Here's James Wilson looking for that ball over, and Taylor Stephen with the right idea, just trying to play it back into a dangerous area, but Javan Peacock getting his body in the right position.
It's a great ball, and you know, Wilson out on this right hand side. Sometimes it's good because attackers know what they would like to attack in the middle. Puts it into a fantastic area. Taylor Stevens so switched on to what's happening. Tries to come ghosting at the back post and then fire it back across. And ends up being really, really good defending from Gibraltar. I've been calling for, you know, those balls into the box all evening. Again, with the wind and now what we're seeing with this rain, it makes it so hard to defend.
David Watson with another delivery. Surely one of them at some point is going to lead to a real opening for Scotland, because he's been putting them into a good area, but these conditions are just getting absolutely ridiculous at the Europa Point Stadium.
I'm not sure those players could even see that ball when it was coming into the box until it hit them. I mean, it almost looks like it's not real, these conditions. Because 1 minute it looks like it's totally fine. And oh yeah, it's just, like you said earlier, lucky it is an AstroTurf pitch, because there's a lot of rain that's fallen.
It will be a test of the character of these players just to battle through. Because as you say, even the visibility at this point becomes tough.
Yeah, and the pitch will start playing differently as well. And listen, AstroTurfs, yes, it takes a lot for them to flood, but then you can see now even when they're passing the ball, at times it's like almost like stopping a little bit and then it's skidding on through. So concentration is going to be a massive thing. It'll be a test of the referee as well, because you know what I'll be doing, Andrew? I'll be blowing that final whistle, mate. Let's get down the tunnel and everyone get dry.
Watson to Taylor Stephen. Certainly looks keen to make an impression, Taylor Stephen, after coming off the bench. David Watson plays it forward. Has to be recovered by Connor Allen. Watson's ball over, comes back in his direction. Scotland will get the throw.
Again, he's coming so deep to try and influence the game, because probably an element of frustration when he is going higher that he's not getting enough touches, but just needs to remain disciplined, you know, for his last 10, 11 minutes. There's definitely more goals in this game for Scotland. Yes, it's been disappointing in terms of goal scoring, so far, but there'll definitely be more opportunities to put the ball in the back of the net.
McPherson back to Ure. Gets it back from Allen. Here's Taylor Stephen. Goes down and we'll get a free kick. Kyle Ure happy to get things going quickly for Scotland. It's a good pass from David Watson. Spread the play over to that right side. A good one too as well with Dylan Loban. Just loses track of the ball, which is understandable just given these conditions.
He wasn't the only one that lost track of the ball there. I was squinting to try and find it myself. But yeah, it just gets stuck under his feet, doesn't it?
Stephen. A couple of Gibraltar defenders for company. And gets a nudge in the back, but Scotland have an opportunity here with Andy Todd. Shifts it onto his left, goes across, and it will be gathered by Harry Victor.
Great advantage from the referee as well, to let play go on for the first time in this game. It ends up being a brilliant ball, 100% foul on Taylor Stephen there, but Euro again, his pass has been fantastic today. He finds Todd into that position where he's so dangerous coming in from the edge of the box, from the corner of the box. He just tries to pick somebody out, and Gibraltar again defend it well. I've been really impressed with Euro playing those forward passes. Yes, they haven't all come off for him, but his vision to see them and his confidence to try and execute them has been brilliant for Scotland today.
Ball whipped towards that Gibraltar box. It's David Watson. Looked as if he'd maybe committed a foul on his opposite captain as Gibraltar try and play the ball through, but Connor Allen was always going to get there first. Never really looks like he's panicking ever, does he, Connor Allen? Very calm.
Yeah, a real calm defender. And the best thing you can say about him is you rarely mention him in commentary because he does everything he needs to do. Real precision, real confidence, a real calmness about his play. Doesn't ever seem that anything's stretching him too much. And like you said, he's made a real good impression so far at full court, the young man.
Stephen forward to Andy Todd, gets it back. Taylor Stephen, and that one has gone in. And it is a goal for Taylor Stephen. I'm not sure he meant it, but he will absolutely take it. And Scott Gemmell and these Scotland players will absolutely take it because it's tough conditions in Gibraltar, but Scotland have a second and surely wrap up the points.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm not sure he has meant it, but one thing he's done since coming on, he's been very positive with all his plays, put a lot of balls into the box. He's trying to link up with Todd on numerous occasions. And listen, he's probably got that one slightly wrong, but it's even better than the cross. It ends up in the back of the net. So I'm going to give it to him, actually. I'm going to say he does mean it. I'm going to give that to him because, like I said, he's made a real positive impact on this game so far since coming on. Like you said, that should be all 3 points now and calm everyone down. And hopefully Scotland get another couple of goals now in the remaining 8 minutes or so to play.
A couple of goals for Arbroath this season on loan from St Johnstone, Taylor Stephen, and on his first under-21 appearance, he's got his first under-21 goal. And you never know the way that this qualification group is going. Goal difference could be key at some point. So Scotland, as you say, will want to try and get another couple of goals if they can. Andy Todd down, holding his knee. Looks in a good bit of discomfort after that challenge with Javan Peacock.
Yeah, again, he just goes to press and block it, doesn't he? I think hopefully it's just knee on knee rather than anything else. You always worry about that when a player's kind of overstretched, but you see him here, he just goes to press the ball, gets cleared down the line, and he does actually get his foot to it. It's one of them sometimes, Andrew, like I was speaking about earlier with Donovan, when you're hard stretched like that and you do take a little bit of contact, sometimes you feel a little bit of a tweak when the ball gets fired into it, but hopefully it's something that he's not feeling too much of and be able to play the remaining minutes of this game. Again, another young man coming into this squad after not being in the initial squad, now finds himself in a starting team, like you said earlier, and he's done really well. A couple of flashes of brilliance in terms of shots at goal, picked up some really good positions as well.
I mentioned earlier on that he got the call from Neil Lennon when he just come out the shower. Good preparation for this game for him. That shower.
He obviously knew what he was doing. He probably had a football in there as well doing head-ups, but yeah, exactly. He's up and he's walking, thankfully. There's a couple of substitutes that might be coming on now anyway. He might be one to come off.
Yeah, Scott Gemmell will roll the dice for the final time. One of those players coming on is going to be Andy Todd's Dunfermline teammate, Barney Stewart, who's going to make his first under-21 appearance for Scotland. An incredible story, really, for Barney Stewart, but we'll get to that when he gets on the pitch. Just over 5 minutes to go. As you say, Marvin, that second goal will hopefully settle things a bit for Scotland.
Yeah, you know, it'll definitely calm the nerves now, and you can see the Gibraltar players at 1-0 is like, can we get back into this game at 2-0? You know, their mindset's definitely switched to, can we make sure it's not 3-4? When you're on the back of a few heavy beatings, you know, the last thing you want to do is that run to continue. So as I said at half-time, the positive for them was they're only 1-0 down. They'll be absolutely delighted if they can finish the game at, you know, 2-0.
Taylor Stephen running to close down Peacock. But Gibraltar initially retain possession. Peacock actually does well to hold off the challenge of Andy Todd, who will go into the book.
It's like a third booking. There's not really been a bad tackle in the game, has there? And the referee's gone from blowing his whistle an awful lot in the first half to getting his card out a lot in the second half. I mean, yeah, it's a foul, but not sure it's much more than that as Peacock goes down holding his face. Maybe the rain hit it.
Well, the physios are on. Scotland yet to make those changes, but I think they will now.
Double substitution for Scotland, replacing number 23, Andrew Todd, and it's number 13.
So it will be the final act for Andy Todd. And on comes Ryan Carr, who, a new name to the Scotland setup, really. The 21-year-old plays his football at Ipswich, came through Carlisle's youth system, then moved to Ipswich in 2023, captains Ipswich's under-21 side.
James Wilson.
So interested to see what he can offer, and it's going to be James Wilson that comes off and Barney Stewart that comes on, who pretty much a year ago was playing for Heriot Watt Uni, where he is still a student in his 4th year, doing a sports and exercise science degree, but then got picked up by Falkirk last year. Played a good few times for Falkirk in the Championship, now on loan at Dunfermline, where he's got 4 goals in his last 4 matches.
Yeah, it's been some rise for the young man, you know, and playing university football and find yourself at such a big club like Falkirk. It's absolutely fantastic for him. Like you said, he's now out on loan with Dunfermline. Luckily for him, Neil Lennon didn't have to call him when he was coming out of the shower to tell him that he'd been called up. But listen, it's brilliant to see him in the squad and included in the squad because he's doing extremely well. As I said, it's been easy for him to sit at Falkirk and not go out on loan and hope for an opportunity to come. But no, he wants to play football. He wants to contribute to wherever club he's at. And yeah, he's doing really well for Dunfermline. So you know, hopefully he enjoys these first few minutes of under-21 football, and you know, there's a lot more games for him to come.
Don't say I don't do my research. I know exactly where Barney Stewart was when he got the call from Neil Lennon as well.
You're actually starting to worry me. Neil Lennon's just calling everyone. Next time he calls me for paddock, I'll be like, am I getting called up to Scotland 21s?
He was sitting in the barber's chair, and he said after he got his haircut, he looked at his phone. He had 3 missed calls from Neil Lennon, and he thought, "Oh dear, what's happened here?"
I've been there. Again, at least it was positive news for him. Now I'm starting to think that Neil Lennon's not wanting his players included in the initial squad so he can call them after. Be the bearer of good news.
Yeah, certainly did turn out to be good news for Barney Stewart. He'll be hoping that he can continue his good goal-scoring run in the last few weeks for Dunfermline into the last few minutes of this Scotland Under-21 match against Gibraltar. David Watson on the turn, a couple of challenges. Javan Peacock. David Watson just giving him a pat on the head.
I think he's making sure the water was out of Peacock's head, or his feathers. But yeah, listen, Barney Stewart is definitely a player who thrives on cross balls. So, you know, as soon as Taylor Stephen gets that ball on his left-hand side, don't be too surprised if you see him peeling towards that back post, expecting a cross to come in.
Ben McPherson, his touch gets away from his teammates. Kyle Clinton just puts that one up into the sky. Ewer to Dylan Loban. Back to Loban. Rory Wilson. Bit of a miss kick there from Connor Allen, but it's all worked out in the end. Taylor Stephen.
Yeah, he meant it. That's the composure and calmness I was speaking about earlier. Had everybody fooled there. Allen meant that, it's fine.
Wilson. Loban. A good spell of possession for Scotland. Just can afford to be patient after getting that second goal.
Yeah, they'll just be moving the ball now and, you know, counting down the seconds to the kind of full-time whistle. You won't be thinking that if you're kind of Barney Stewart and someone else is coming on as a substitute, but yeah, the boys who played, it's just about being professional and moving that ball. If you get an opportunity to put it in, then they will, as we see here.
Yeah, Gibraltar managed to deal with that ball in from the right. Here is Ryan Carr. The Ipswich man, spent some time on loan earlier this year at Ebbsfleet. Well, 5 minutes to be added. There has been a couple of stoppages in this half, so 5 minutes for Scotland to try and add to their total of 2 goals in this game so far. Watson. One thing you know about David Watson is he will just keep on fighting right to the end.
Yeah, another player with a lot of energy. You know, you see him do it week in, week out for Kilmarnock when he's starting games of football. Right up until the last whistle, first whistle to last whistle, that young man, he's all over the pitch. Covers every blade of grass or astroturf, whatever it might be. A real energetic player, and it's good because it's contagious for other players as well. You see him doing that, you know, it has a knock-on effect on everybody else, and there's no surprise that, you know, he wears a captain's armband because he leads by example in terms of the way he plays, the way he goes about his game.
Yeah, a real fan favourite with the Kilmarnock supporters, and you can see why. And Stevens follows that one up the line, and Cleo Harding will just go all the way back to Rory Adams. Carr exchanging passes with Dylan Lobban. Well, the most important thing is that it's going to be 3 points on the board for Scotland, and they'll get to the halfway mark in this group stage. 7 points.
Yeah, like you said, you know, we're speaking about goals and stuff before the show, but most important thing is that Scotland win this game of football. You know, they have to have a better second half of the campaign compared to the first one, because I don't think that'll be enough to take them through in second place. But they know what's in front of them, and first and foremost, this was the first hurdle for them, and you know they've got over this hurdle, and they have to keep building on this next week now.
Couple of changes. Kevin Gonzalez making his way off the pitch. Evan Bustow is the man to come on for Gibraltar, and it's Julian Brito, the man coming off. Adam Ashud plays his football for Europa Point, the defender. Onto the park, we'll get the last 2 and a bit minutes of this match.
I've been impressed with the way that Gibraltar have set themselves up. You know, like you said, a team that have conceded an awful lot of goals in recent games, but you know they've been dogged in what they've done. Have they offered a attacking threat? Not really, but they've got players into good areas when it's come to defending, and they've blocked a couple of things in this second half, and you know they've tried to do things properly in terms of what they've got. So, as I said, you know there'll be positives for their managers to take from this, and for the players as well.
Yeah, they'll certainly be happy with what they've offered in this game against Scotland. Still no points on the board for Gibraltar, but it is so tough for these small nations. Referee Michele Beltrano just getting involved for the final time.
Listen, there's still 90 seconds to go. There'll probably be one more time that he does get involved. Absolutely loving the sound of his own whistle.
It's going to be a goal kick to Scotland.
Told you. Oh.
Well, of course, after this, it's actually already started. Scotland senior side away against Greece. A draw or a win is all that's needed, and then Scotland would set up a crunch match with Denmark. A winner takes all at Hampden on Tuesday night to try and get to that World Cup next year.
Massive opportunity for the senior players, isn't it? 2 huge games, 180 minutes as John McGinn was speaking about earlier. If that had been offered to them at the start of the campaign, they would have taken it. first and foremost, I take care of business today, and then look forward to Denmark game. A team that should be full of confidence, some real quality within that senior squad.
Well, that's looking ahead to the World Cup 2026, which we hope Scotland will be there. This, of course, the qualification for the Under-21 Euro 2027. Scotland about to get another 3 points on the board, as they did in the home match against Gibraltar. That adds to the 1 point that Scotland got in that pretty crazy 3-3 draw against Azerbaijan, in a game that had absolutely everything. A bit more dramatic than this one has been, but they don't all need to be dramatic. You just need to get the points on the board and take the positives into the next game. I think a wee bit of extra time will be added because it is a minimum, but the referee, Michele Beltrano, sounds the full-time whistle. Not an easy night for Scotland given the conditions in Gibraltar, but Scotland have battled through a couple of goals. Scott Gamble will be happy that it's 3 points on the board, Marvin.
Yeah, listen, like you said, the conditions were extremely difficult out there. Most important thing was that Scotland went and won this game. You don't want to be on the end of a kind of banana skin result, and they've managed to avoid that today. Would they have wanted more goals? Would they have expected more goals and a better performance? 100%, but you don't always get what you expect in football games. So, yeah, it's important that they won the game. There'll be a lot of things that Scott Gamble and his coaching team will want to work on before the game next week. But yeah, listen, it's job done for Scotland Under-21s today.
Yeah, well, they could have scored more goals, but it was just the 2 for Scotland this evening, and the first one came through James Wilson. It was a lovely pass through the lines by Kyle Ure to set him up.
Yeah, using his right foot this time. Todd does extremely well out on the wide position. He pulls the ball back. Ure knows exactly where he wants that ball to be placed. Wilson knows exactly where he wants him to place it also. Gets onto the end of it and puts the ball on the back of the net. A real calm and composed finish from the young man. Yeah,
maybe an element of luck to the second goal, but Taylor Stephen will not mind at all. He was a real positive influence, wasn't he, after coming off the bench?
He definitely was that, and they say you're better off being lucky than good. And as I said, he put a lot of crosses into that box for Scotland Under-21s. This one he actually mishits and it ends up in the back of the net. So 2-0 for Scotland, and they'll be happy to go in there, get dried, and worry about next week's game now.
Well, 3 points on the board for Scotland. The Under-21 side are back in action on Tuesday night at Fir Park against Bulgaria, where they'll be looking to hopefully get another win. But thank you to Marvin Bartley alongside me, and thank you to you for joining us at home. As I mentioned, it is Bulgaria up next on Tuesday night.